up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the Warframe video. So we got a hotfix with Gauss Prime today, and some Riven Disposition changes. So we'll be going over both of those before I start going and farming Gauss. Yeah, I didn't really sleep much last night, so that wasn't very smart. But here we are with Gauss Prime just releasing like 10 minutes ago. So let's get into it. Before we do, make sure you're subbed to the channel. We do daily Warframe video uploads. Also hit that like button as well. Lets more people see these videos. So as we can see, looks like that video the other day with the Gauss Relax was correct. So we got the Gauss, got a Neo W1, Meso H5, Lith G9, the rare Gauss systems, and also the Axie B7 with the uncommon one. So yeah, those are correct. And the Exceltra, we got a rare Exceltra Axie part. So yeah, get into farm on that. We got Axie, Lith, Meso, Neo for Exceltra as well. So it looks like they're very spread across all of these for these new weapons. So we also got the Icarius. We got two Liths for the Icarius. Okay, so we got Axie D5, Lith A6, Lith R5, and then also Neo A11. So the Icarius has two Lith relics, basically. So if you watched my previous guide on how to farm Lith relics, you'd know where to get those. Alright, so let's start with the patch notes, because I'm not going to call it a nerf, but jokingly, it kind of is a little bit of a nerf. They did nerf. Well, they actually bug fixed purple Tau shards and purple shards in general. They now give less crit damage than before, unfortunately. But let's just say yours truly already knew it was doing more damage. I don't make videos in like showing glitches off, but yes, I did know that the purple shards were giving more crit damage than they're supposed to. But it was fun anyway. All right, so for the Gauss Prime hotfix today, 35.0.9, we have Gauss Prime released, and you just saw what those relics were. You can go farm those right now. You can go turn your relic packs. I'll be live on stream farming it out as well. So if you want to come stop at the live stream, feel free. Alright, so yeah, there's the Gauss Prime accessories in here and stuff like that. So yeah, Garuda Prime, Nakantaka Prime, and Corvus Prime are vaulted. So that means people that have been really wondering, hey, how do I get those Garuda blood spikes you always use? Now you wait down the timer until they bring back the resurgence for Garuda Prime, not she's actually vaulted. So yeah, your already existing relics for Garuda still exist, just you can't get new ones. They've also changed it where for Syndicate rank ups, you know how it would always be like, okay, give me the Frost Prime rare part to rank up to rank 5 with Red Veil, for example. There would always be like some random gold part to rank up your Syndicate. They are changing that. This update, now it will be Aya. So 2 Aya to get to rank 4 of the Syndicate as the rank up sacrifice, and then for rank 5, it's 3 Aya. So this will be an evergreen version of this. They don't have to like manually change it. It's like, okay, well they just vaulted Garuda, take the Garuda part off of take off the Syndicate, put the Baruch part there instead. Like they don't have to do that ever again. That's preventing this. So in the future, if you ever rank these Syndicates for the main Syndicates, it'll be 2 Aya for rank 4 and 5 Aya for rank 3. Much better system. Easier to get Aya than getting a random gold part anyway. But I guess you technically can't buy Aya from other players. You could buy the gold part before, but still, it's going to probably be a lot better. We have the Riven Dispo changes. We'll go over those. Spoiler, there was no nerfs. We already knew that, though. They said they won't be nerfing any more Rivens because they decided to change their mind how they do those things. So as far as the changes in this hotfix in 35.0.9, remove the abilities for enemies to deal critical hits to players, defense targets, extractors, rescue targets, and other all the friendly targets. So yes, if you didn't know this, the enemies in this game that like use the weapons you see, like let's say we're fighting an enemy that had a Grakata. That enemy has the same crit stats on their Grakata that our Grakata has. For example, so like the normal Grakata, enemy has a 25% crit chance. Not anymore. They got 0% crit chance on us going forward because DE, they're trying to make it where defense missions are less annoying, I guess. And they were deciding that when they were doing these tests that enemies getting crits on objectives would make a random spike in damage and it would feel unfair. So they've removed the ability for enemies to deal crits to us. So yeah, specifically they were looking at the Volcar Grenadier Ballista with a Volcar sniper rifle, for example. It's a high damage per hit kind of weapon. And if it did get a crit, it just made the damage feel extremely, sorry, right here. 20% crit chance, 2x multiplier, it does 200 damage. So yeah, doubling that to defense objective, that would be a pretty big deal. So I see what they're doing there. It's not really to make the game easier, because honestly, at high levels, the enemies getting a crit wouldn't even make you just die in one hit anyway. It's not like a Naros was like, oh, if only that enemy didn't get a crit on me, I wouldn't have died. No, it's still the same case. You're going to still die as an Aros with a non-crit. This is more for a defense objective, so they don't just get shredded in some situations, I suppose. Still going to happen at level 10,000, but at level 400, it probably won't be as big of a deal if that enemy is shooting at the sniper rifle. So a good change there. There will be some more changes later in the year where they'll make it where defense missions on Deviri don't outright fail everything. You get to keep your loot still. It does not currently do that though. Change the Nightwave episode status button to Nightwave status in the navigation menu. Big deal there. Hot dropped on Monday. Re-enable the ability to decrease your clan rank. That was disabled during the Whispers in the Wall. Okay, so let's get to the actual changes here that matter. Some of these things so don't expect big. We're getting a dev stream on the last week of the month, so don't expect big changes here. Just expect little fixes, fix the kill enemies to lower the security level radius in the Netra cell spawning very far away from that happened to me so much. I'm glad they fixed that. So that's a good Netra cell fix. The loot and all that, the drop rates of what we want are bad, but that's not exactly a fix, that's a change. So yeah, good stuff there. A couple other things here, fix being able to do the quick time event at the end of the Whispers in the Wall quest if melee attack is bound. So yeah, there were some things in the Whispers in the Wall quest, the QTE events as well. So moving past that to the actual important stuff. Okay, here we go. Fixed an additional 25% 37 per tau applying on top of the Violet Archon shards 25 and 37. So basically, we were just getting double crit damage. The purple shards were giving double crit damage, they were supposed to, and it was fun. But it's been removed because that was clearly not intended. And here's the description of why they did that right here. This bug caused the bonus to exceed well beyond its intended and described values. To break it down, when below 500 energy, the shard granted 50%, plus 50% or 74%, and when above 500, it granted 75 and 111, resulted from 25 plus 37 applying on top. So as far as we can tell, this bug has been live since the release of the Violet Archon shard in the Whispers of the Wall update. So we understand this fix is disappointing to those who have been using it in the state since then. But in the interest of properly executing the intended bonuses as outlined in the UI, we have restored it to its original design. I wouldn't call it disappointing at all. It's kind of funny. Honestly, it didn't even mention it. Probably wouldn't have known about it. It's good that they told us this. But we're still going to be doing so much damage. And also, some of us already knew. To me, I already knew this was glitched. And I wasn't trying to exploit it because it was a glitch. It's just okay, well, I want to use these new shards. They're glitched. So it's not going to be saying in the video, hey, they're doing more damage than they're supposed to. The video is about just showing what the shards do, not about the exact, microscopic number, how much damage you're doing. So yeah, not a big deal to me, but someone out there might actually care about that more. My core is still going to have the most hilarious multiplier ever. So yeah, still good. They're still the best Archon Tau shards. Maybe you could say a red one's better. Maybe you could say yellow one's better for casting speed or power strength. But the purple ones still give massive weapon bonuses. They give equilibrium. What else they do? They do good stuff. So I think that they're still the best. But that is not doing double crit damage now, unfortunately. And the rest of this stuff, some of these some of just little fixes. So let's move on to the Riven Disposition changes. So if you didn't know this, whenever a new Prime Frame comes out, we get new Riven Disposition changes, and that will change your already existing Riven. So let's see if we got anything to look at that will be hopefully higher stats than before. I'm hoping we got some exciting changes in here. I'm pretty sure this will be 0.05 changes, though, to be honest. So let's hop in. All right, so just reading their description of this. I'll make this fast. Gauss Prime is sprinted on all platforms, so let's blow past the Riven changes of 2024. In our last series of changes, we announced that we were doing our best to avoid dispo decreases instead of focusing on more direct changes to weapons and specific interactions if necessary. This is still our philosophy for the year going forward, so enjoy the Riven dispo changes increases. So basically, they're not going to nerf anything unless it's deemed a massive problem. So nothing in the game is deemed a massive problem. All right, the Aphentis got a buff, 0.05 buff. Synta got a buff. Actually, Synta got a big buff from 0.85 to 1. So good on Synta Riven users. The Ferox and Tenet Ferox both got 0.05 buffs. So you'll be seeing small changes on your Rivens. This one I was pretty happy about. It's not a big buff, but the Fulman and Fulman Prime both got Riven buffs. Now, small ones, but I remember back in the day when the Fulman actually used to have good Riven stats. And then when the Fulman Prime came out, it's man, it already felt nerfed compared to back in the day, and now we got the Fulman Prime with even smaller Riven stats. So let's see what we got now, and let's see if the Riven is even remotely worth running. See, the Riven's not even on the build right now. So now we got about 52% multi-shot, 96% crit chance, 110% damage, and minus 62% impact. It only gives us like 20% more crit chance on the build, more like 30-ish%. But yeah, I mean, it's still pretty low stats. This is still not a very high damage weapon at high levels. So it really, to me, like the Rivens on this thing being double the stats wouldn't change things at high level. Just make lower levels more fun. So I still think this could use some more buff. 0.05 is too tame to me, but hey, it's still a newish prime weapon getting a buff, so I'm happy about that. Lens and Prisma Lens got some buffs. The Prisma Lens got a bigger buff because no one even remembers it exists most of the time. It definitely wasn't a Tenet lens at all, and the Kupa Brahma is better. So yeah, keep buffing it. I have a good Riven, and it is just not getting used. Paragale got a good buff. Paragale's very nice for Eidolon hunts, what I've heard. And I was actually considering getting a Riven for it for Eidolon hunts, but haven't done it yet. But yeah, it's got a decent Riven buff there, so even better Eidolon one-shots. The Rauta got a buff. So the Rauta is that shotgun of Kalervo that can build combo from shots for your melee. Very nice that it got a buff. I was actually considering getting a Rauta Riven, and it went from 0.75 to 0.85, so a bigger buff than the Fulman Prime got. But yeah, you know, it's also like, it doesn't need a Riven actually. It just could be nice to have them for quality of life. So whatever there. Rubico Prime, hilariously, how did this get a Riven buff? Yeah, the Rubico Prime got a Riven buff from 0.6 to 0.65. That's pretty funny to me. I actually am kind of wondering, does my old so basically the Rubico Rivens have been, just like the Fulman Rivens, have been nerfed so many times that like my old Rubico Riven used to give multiple bullets to the magazine extra. Let's see if it does anymore. So it was giving 1 extra bullet. Wow, I went back to 2 extra bullets? Wow, okay, yeah, it buffed the magazine size back up to 31% magazine, so I actually get 2 extra bullets from my Riven. That's great. It was not doing that in the previous patch. That's great. I mean, I'm not using this thing really, but hey, you know what? It's the little things that add up like that. Okay. So yeah, Rubico Prime Riven buffs. Enjoy that. Steph Flows, the signature weapon of Citrine, also got a Riven buff as well. For secondaries, the Aphirus Prime, the Cyanex, the Grimoire, funny enough, and the Xylock Prime all got Riven buffs. Now the Xylock Prime, I actually used this at level 10,000 the other day. The Xylock Prime is pretty decent. Now, I wouldn't recommend using the Incarnon shot, but let's take a look at how the Xylock Prime and the Xylock normal stats are actually comparing. And yes, I do have 2 weapons called the Xylock Prime here. Alright, so let's look at the Riven and Prime Pistol Gambit. So, crit chance Riven, it's got 82%. This is the actual Prime right now. So we're at 155% crit chance on the primary shot with a crit chance Riven and a crit chance mod. 206 on the alt fire. Now on the normal Xylock, let's see what the difference is going to be, because the Riven Dispo is the biggest difference before. Okay, so we're still at 178, and okay, so we're definitely at higher crit chance on the Xylock normal still, unfortunately. So it's going to be coming down to other stats being more important. So yeah, 178 on the Xylock normal, and also our Riven is 100% minus impact on the Xylock normal because the Dispo is just better. So that's still unfortunate to me. I probably would rather just use... Actually, I probably would rather use neither of them at level 10,000. It's okay at level 10,000. It's not exactly an ad-clearing machine. But hey, you know what? Like I said, it's the little things. You know, maybe a Xylock Prime buff here and there will make it... like I want to use it at level 10,000. Alright, got a bunch of melee changes here. We got the Argo and Vel, the new-ish sword and shield from Deviri. Got a Riven buff. That thing's actually pretty good. I should probably get a Riven for that. The Azothane got a Riven buff. The Cobra and Crane Prime got a Riven buff. The Chlorophyll got a Riven buff. Shouldn't have deleted that one. The Dorclave, the signature weapon of Citrine, got a big Riven buff from 0.5 to 0.7. That one might be worth checking out. It had good stats already. I think it had really bad attack speed and a couple other stats, but that's where a Riven could come in to buff that attack speed. So interesting stuff there. The Edun, which is the spear from Deviri, it's got a Riven buff. The Ekhine, the newest hammer from Whispers in the Wall, got a big Riven buff, just like the Dorclave. That one, I'm actually less interested in that one versus the Dorclave. I think the Dorclave is better than the Ekhine, personally. The Gunson Prime got a Riven buff, even though it didn't need it. Gunson Prime's pretty good. I've got a Riven for it, I just never ever use it, just because it's a normal melee, honestly. The Halakar Wraith got a buff. The Hespar got a buff. The Massater Prime got a big Riven buff. Not that that's going to really change anything for me. The Prisma Oma got a Riven buff, but then you remember the Prisma Oma used to have the Dispo, the normal Oma, and they changed it one day, and it's like, oh, so it's almost the same stats as it was at launch. The Sampotes, was supposed to get buffed, but they actually missed it, unfortunately. So it went from 0.7 to 0.9. But still, Sampote's got a Riven buff. The Sorrowfang got a Riven buff. The Slatra also got a Riven buff. And the Veracrez got a Riven buff. Do you remember what half of those are? The Veracrez, I bet you forgot what that one is. It's like a random, like, Warfan. It's like a Tenno TwitchCon drop or something. Or TennoCon Twitch drop. Yeah, I always forget that one exists. And then the only Riven Dispo buff to Arcwing guns, we got the Mandinel, the signature Arcwing gun of Corvex, got a Riven buff. Yes, and also Corvex is not going to be the newest frame for very long. It will be a new frame in the Echoes of Whispers update. So, no Prisma Decurion Riven buffs. Let's see what the Mandinel Riven's looking like. 34% multi-shot. I don't remember what it was before this. I think it was like 31% multi-shot. So, still going to need a couple more buffs for me to actually be using this thing. But, hey, got some decent Riven buffs. We got some new Prime stuff. I'm looking forward to this. I didn't really see any, like... I didn't see that new Loki augment that Pablo was talking about a couple weeks ago, but yeah, you guys take it easy. I will see you on stream very soon to farm this stuff out. And yeah, enjoy your new hotfix and all your new Prime goodies, guys. I'll see you very soon, and take it easy. Peace.